your sugars, all that stuff. There's going to be modifications throughout, but this is just kind of more of a nutty-based granola to add a little crunch to your life. So we are going to get started with this. I have 2 different kinds of nuts. Definitely you can mix it up, add different nuts to it, but I have walnuts and I have sliced almonds. If you don't have sliced almonds, just put them in the food processor for a little bit and those will kind of chop up to be like little chunks. I have pumpkin seeds. You can use sunflower seeds too. I do have dates and I also have figs. This is just to add a little sweetness. This is totally optional, especially if you're watching your sugar intake. These are a little higher in sugar, but that kind of adds that like gooiness and it helps it all stick together. It's kind of a paste like cinnamon. I have some flax, honey that you can kind of add if you don't want to add the dates, and that's a lot of sugar added to the recipe. And then I have protein powder that you can add, and I also have collagen. So kind of to add that extra protein and then add your collagen benefits to the recipe as well. I also have some cocoa butter. This is totally optional. You can use butter too, or you can just omit it altogether. So this just kind of adds that little glaze to kind of get it that like caramely flavor, or I guess that more honey buttery flavor to it. So I have coconut butter. This is kind of what it looks like. This is going to be about a half a cup of that in there, and I'm going to melt it down. So I'll kind of show you a couple ways that you can do this recipe. So this is something that really we just kind of like threw together and we loved it. So we're going to get started. You can also make these into granola bars. So there's another recipe, and I will kind of share another day to kind of how to make this into granola bars. So definitely something that's very easy to kind of throw together. So right now I have 2 cups of walnuts that I'm just going to put into the food processor. They're plain walnuts. And then I'm going to put in, you can add the sliced almonds in now, or you can just wait and mix them in with the pumpkin seeds. I'm going to add them now because I kind of just want everything kind of mixed together. And then I'm going to add a little bit. The honey is going to be added at the end just to kind of put a glaze and kind of mix it all together. But if you want to, actually I'm going to show you the 2 different ways instead of adding all this together. I wasn't thinking, I was more explaining. So what you're going to do, I'm going to take half of this out of there. I'll show you the 2 ways that you can kind of make this. I'll end up combining them, but just so for a point of reference that you kind of can see how that's done. Okay. Hopefully that's all the way down. Might have to kind of connect. See, this is why I might not ever get a real live Food Network cooking show. Because I would have so many takes to do. Let me take this out. So about 1 cup, it's going to be 2 cups of each. So do it this way or another way, it's going to be 2 cups of each, but I'm just going to do half of it for this recipe. You can kind of see 2 ways to do it, with the honey and then just with the dates and figs. So I'm going to add the dates to it. So it's about 6 dates that I'm going to add in there. And then I'm going to blend that up so it's a little more pastier, and then I'm going to add my other ingredients. So plugged in, everything's good. This is my little nice fancy processor. I'm going to put this together, the 600 pulses, kind of check it, the dates are really chunks of dates in there, and that's going to be that little chewiness. If you have dried fruit, then you can feel free to add that. All you would have to do is just kind of break up those walnuts, so just put them in the food processor, and then you can add like your dried berries to that as well instead of adding it in the food processor. But since those dates weren't cut up, I put them in there with the rest of the nuts. And then if you want to, you can add your figs. I'm going to add figs just to add a little different flavor. flavor, so I add about 4 figs to there. You can add more or less. It's not going to change the recipe. It just changes the amount that you have in there, so it's not going to affect it too much. Okay, so there's chunks of figs in there. Awesome. And I'm going to then set this aside. Just grab another bowl. And I'm going to put this in a bowl. So I have that one. And now if you were going to say, do the honey route, what you're going to do is you're just going to drop those in there. You're going to give it a couple pulses, just chop up those walnuts and those almonds. Okay, so those are a little chopped up, just a couple pulses, and then we'll put that into. So very simple, and then you're just going to add the honey at the end of it. You can add it during, so I'll kind of show you during what you would do. I'm going to add a little bit of flax, so about a tablespoon of flax. I'm going to add that to this, and I'm going to add it to this one. Tablespoon of flax. And then I'm going to add my pumpkin seeds. So if you're making one of these recipes, it's going to be 2 cups of the walnuts, 2 cups of the almonds, about 4 dates, about 3 to 4 figs in there. And then you're going to add about a half cup of mashed pumpkin seeds. So you're going to add that, and I'm just having it just to kind of show you these. So I have those in there. Then I'm going to add a dash of cinnamon. So I just sprinkle a little cinnamon over the top, just a dash, probably about a teaspoon or less. Awesome. So now you can pick whether you want, if you have collagen, you can add that. You can add the protein powder. You can definitely omit these. So kind of totally up to you. I'm going to add collagen. Sprinkle it over. Just a couple scoops, about 1/4 of a cup collagen. Okay, so I added that. You can add nutmeg too if you want to give it that little nutmeg flavor to it. And then I'm just going to stir that around, so I need to grab my spatula. Okay, so I'm just going to mix that around, make sure everything gets coated. Same thing in this bowl. Okay, so everything's coated. So with this bowl, I'm actually going to add the honey before, and then you can always drizzle a little more extra on top. So I'm going to add that honey in there. It's going to be about 1/4 of a cup of honey into that bowl, and then with you can add more. So this is going to help like coat it, get it all sticky, get it in chunks. You just really want to mix it together, make sure it's all incorporated in there. That's going to add that little sweetness flavor, natural sweetness to that. So it kind of looks like that. A little bit of action there. Now if you use the butter or coconut butter, totally up to you, you can omit it. It's going to be about 1/2 cup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to melt it down, and I'm going to add, this is another way, we have some really fancy stuff here, you know. Just really getting the use fully out of all of our appliances. So we're going to let that melt down. It melts pretty quick, and then I'm going to drizzle it over, and then I'm going to mix it all in. Now for this one, you can leave as is with the chunks and then just add that to it, or you can add the honey to it, and you can just sprinkle it over the top. I'm going to actually do both to them. So your same thing as you would here, you added like 1/4 cup of honey. You can add less to it since you do have that sugar in there, or you can add more. It's totally kind of based on how, if you want to watch that sugar intake, you can add less honey, it will still stick together. And then this butter just kind of adds that like caramelly texture to it, or the coconut. And then the protein, you can always add that protein powder in there as well, and that's going to kind of give it that higher protein quality to that. So this, you would just put on a baking sheet. Say you're not going to add the butter or anything. You're just going to sprinkle it. And I'll kind of show you on this baking sheet. Baking sheet with parchment. Your oven's going to be at like 325 for your granola. And then you would just kind of spread that around. You can add more honey too if you want bigger chunks. So just add a little bit more honey. That will add bigger chunks to your recipe. Okay. So it kind of looks like that. And then you can just take this, and I just lightly drizzle it over the top. So then when you kind of take it out, it's going to be a nice little gooey-ish. You can always mix it around if you want to. I just like to drizzle it over to add that extra little layer of flavor. And you can always drizzle more if you want to over the top. More flaxseed, you can do chia seed, you could do hemp seed. So whatever kind of floats your boat. So I'm just going to drizzle a little more on top just to add a little good fats to it. Use it up, and I'll pour the rest actually in here. So you can see that it's just really one of those recipes that you can kind of have fun with, and they don't have to be exact on things. You can always add a little bit more of something. If you feel like, oh, I have a little bit of extra of this, I'm just going to throw it in there, it will be totally fine. It's melted down, and now you see this is all mixed together. I'm going to pour this over the top. It's going to be a little, there we go. Just kind of pouring it over. I'm going to mix it around, coating it. This is kind of a dairy-free option way to go is with the coconut butter. A couple of veg figs didn't get fully chopped up, that's totally fine. I'm just gonna add a little bit more to it. If I had the full 2 cups, I would add that full in there. I just don't want it to be too wet when I add it. So I'm gonna pour that down into here. Spread that around. Like I said, you can feel free, and this is where you would add, you can soak your nuts too. That kind of helps with digesting them, and the way our body reacts to them is when you soak your nuts and seeds before you use them. So feel free to do that as well. I didn't just for time's sake today soak them, but that's something that I've noticed that helps kind of with the way I digest those things. And so then, if you want to add a little extra add a little bit of honey, just a little bit over the top. And then I'm going to put it in the oven at 325. I'm going to cook for 25 minutes. You kind of want it to be clustered together. And then I turn the oven off, and I let it cook for just a little bit of extra time as the oven's turned off. So about another like 10 minutes or so. And then I take it out, let it cool. And there you have kind of like your granola, or not your granola. But if you wanted to make granola bars, this is going to be kind of a similar recipe, but we'll kind of make them more into bars. And I'll show you that second step next week of how to make these into granola bars. It's super easy, but this is like super healthy. You can kind of, compared to other granola, you can kind of control that sugar, the amount of sugar. So you notice on the back of granola bars or the back of granola, there's tons of added sugar sometimes to the recipe. So this is a way for you to kind of control. You love granola, it's something you love to add to different things, eat. This is one way to kind of control that and control what's in there. And you also can control the carb intake. If you can't have carbs, you can add a little more nuts. But this is definitely something you don't want to overeat, because we always can overeat on nuts, but it's good, it's going to be filling, and it's healthy, and it's all full of natural ingredients. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. If you have any questions, please comment below or like the video. Also, you'll get points. I'll notice that you liked the video or you commented, so I can give you points for the Strive for 5, where you can earn 8 hours of PT PTO as a Kalamazoo County employee. So I hope that you have a good rest of your day, and if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. But I'm Maddie, I'm your Blue Cross Blue Shield Michigan's Wellbeing Coordinator. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks.